grAdvantage is a program that is supported by the chancellor here at UC San Diego and is run through partnerships that the graduate division manages. And our mission with grAdvantage is to empower our graduate students and postdoctoral scholars to achieve professional success through building community, developing career competencies and confidence, and exploring diverse career pathways towards employment. And we're hoping to achieve those goals through all of the different programs that we offer. Some examples of the partnership programming that we offer, first and foremost, what we're here to talk about today is the Leadership and Teamwork Certificate Program. We also partner with the GSA on quarterly career nights, with CAPS on questioning career transition groups, with our Career Center for master's and PhD specific programming throughout the year, with the Postdoctoral Association, who sponsors a variety of events, including a major event called the Career Symposium each year, the Theater and Dance Department on communicating your research workshops. And we also have a lot of different innovative efforts that happen each year as we look to build new partnerships and create new programs that respond to industry needs, respond to student interests or needs that we see popping up around campus. In the past, we've worked with Revelle College humanities programs, specifically on professional development for their teaching assistants and instructional assistants. We've also done some programming with the Career Center around the Gallup Strengths initiatives. And this past month, we actually sponsored attendance for graduate students and postdoctoral scholars at the Beyond the Professoriate Virtual Career Summit. So these are just a few examples of different programs that we do offer through grAdvantage. And we hope that when learning today about one of the hallmark programs, the Leadership and Teamwork Program, that you'll not only be inspired to participate in that program, but hopefully join us for a variety of grAdvantage programming throughout the year. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Shannon McDonald. So Shannon, take it away.
Thanks, Tamara, I appreciate it. So yes, welcome everybody. We're so excited to have you here with us today to learn about the Leadership and Teamwork Certificate Program. This program has been in existence now for, I think we're going into our 6th year, which is phenomenal. And we've had anywhere between 20 to 50 students per cohort for over the course of those 6 years. So we're very excited to have additional participants interested for this upcoming year. This program was developed, as Tamara was mentioning, graduate students and postdocs had approached the chancellor a number of years ago looking for better professional development opportunities and options made available to them on campus. And so the chancellor tasked the group to find various programs, as Tamara just mentioned, including this certificate program. So Extension met with a variety of advisors from the community, from companies large and small, for-profit and nonprofit, to find out where the skills gaps were as graduate students and postdocs were making their way into a non-academic environment. And that is what led us to build this specialized certificate program in leadership and teamwork. And really what we're aiming to do is develop the soft skills to complement your tech skills and expertise, which is really what they were suggesting, which was missing, and equip you with the skills to excel in a working environment. So if we go on to the next slide, here are the program benefits. I mean, you can see that we really focus on a variety of leadership strengths, and we want you to understand your leadership strengths and weaknesses, discover the best approaches to make teams work together, and we focus a lot of time on teamwork. This is where a big skills gap was mentioned, is that while there's a lot of individual expertise that comes through, to be able to work on a team is equally as important, as we need to share ideas and continue to grow and innovate within any organization, and working on teams is an essential element of that. So throughout the course of this program, you'll actually find that you'll be a part of at least 5 teams, I think, if not more, throughout the entire program. And Rich will go into that, our lead instructor will go into that as he takes over in a few minutes. But some of the top skills that the aforementioned advisory board mentioned that were really important to them were leadership, interdisciplinary teamwork, communication, project management, and self-awareness. And so that's what the goals here of this program are, is to really pull that, showcase that information to you, build upon those skills, and have you practice those. And the way we do that is through projects, assessments, and immediately applying those skills to various exercises, and you can actually use those in your current environments, such as any labs you're working in, or if you're teaching, or so on and so forth. So we really, as a practice-based program, we want you to take these newly acquired skills and continue to practice those on a weekly basis within the classroom, outside the classroom, and carry those with you as you move on in your career. Okay, next slide, please. So what's the program structure? So we're going to be accepting a group of upwards of 40 people into the 2020 to 2021 program. The program will last just over 2 quarters. So it will start the first week of fall quarter in September, and will last through about mid-spring quarter. There's 3 required courses, as you see here: effective leadership and teamwork in the workplace, a leadership and teamwork practicum, and a project management for the collaborative workplace course. These courses will be held in a synchronous online environment on Tuesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. As you can imagine, COVID has forced us to transition some programs into an online environment, and this one was no exception. So we will be moving to live online sessions via Zoom, and then we'll complement those sessions with Canvas and having the resources, assignments, and so on and so forth. Those will be in that environment for you to use. So that is, I think, and so one of the things I want to mention, I'm sorry, Tamara, can you go back? I want to talk about the project in a little more detail. The project is a big piece of this program. That's the practicum that you see as the second course. And you work on a project that is for the campus. So we've had multiple partners throughout the campus, including the Campus Bike and Skate Shop, Student Affairs, Center for Student Involvement, Office of Innovation and Commercialization, Study Abroad, Center for Student Innovation. We've had a variety of different partners that have presented projects to us, and we vet those projects and bring them to you to choose from in the practicum session. And it is a really great opportunity to work on a team, but also give back to the campus by using the skills you've newly acquired, and then also work on a project. And they've been a variety of projects, from marketing campaigns to business plans to research projects to an idea wave campaign. So it's really amazing to see some of these projects that come through. So this is a really wonderful opportunity in that way as well. So thank you. So what does it cost? So this program is actually primarily subsidized by the Chancellor, which is a really great opportunity for all of you. Typically, a program like this would cost upwards of $3,000 for the public, and this is being offered to you for $395 total. And that includes $100 per course for those 3 courses we talked about, and then a $95 certificate fee. Other than that, everything is paid for you by the Chancellor. This is how much we believe in this program and wanting to set you up for success. Okay, what's the admission criteria? So any UC San Diego graduate student or postdoctoral scholar in good standing is eligible for this program. We want to have a diverse cohort of applicants. So we will be looking, as you can see here, the year in the program, what year you are, what area of study or research interest you have, your employment and volunteer history, and you also have to include a statement of interest. So we really want to hear why you want to be a part of this program and what your background is, and we want to make this a most diverse cohort as possible. Okay. What are the deadlines? So the first deadline, the application deadline is Friday, September 11th. We encourage you to apply earlier, please, but that will be the final deadline. You'll be notified no later than Friday, September 25th. And we kick off the program on Tuesday, September 29th. And again, that will be in live online sessions on Tuesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. And you can see that short URL at the bottom there where you can apply. You can also, and if you click there, you'll navigate directly to the certificate page and you can sign up there. And please, we do encourage early enrollment, so take advantage of that because there are limited seats. And with that, I think I'll be transitioning this over to Rich Mayhew, Fiona DeConnick, and Brian Gutierrez. They are the panelists for this session. Rich is the lead instructor. He teaches the first 2 courses. We also have a project management instructor who is not here today, but he sends his best. And Fiona and Brian are past participants of the program, so they'll be able to provide firsthand experience and firsthand accounts of the experience they had. So I will kick it over to Rich now.
Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited to share with you your learning journey through the certificate program. Just a little background on myself. I spent many years as an executive in business before I transitioned into the world of consulting. I work with many clients, mostly large companies based in the US and around the world. I'm an experienced leader and I've had assignments from fixing poorly run operations to starting new business locations. Over the years, I've worked with people of all kinds and have discovered some themes of organizational life that hold true regardless of the country, industry that you're in, including academia. And here's what they are. The first one is people are keen to be led. You'll probably notice that when you've been in an environment where you haven't had effective leadership. One of the things we know is a lack of leadership causes anxiety and chaos. People are tribal in nature. We all like to work with others who are like us, and sometimes we can have difficulty working with those who are different from us. We get things done through others primarily because of our relationships with them. And this is oftentimes something that people don't recognize. They think it's all about getting the job done. And if you do that well, you'll be successful. And we found that's not true. Obviously, you have to be competent. But in addition to that, you have to have strong relationship skills. In the end, all work is pretty much teamwork. Great teamwork can appear elusive, but it is in fact not. It is built through disciplined processes and heightened self-awareness and the awareness of others' motivations and skills. And that's what we're going to focus on this course. On the next one, people are not often okay with change that they did not initiate. Most of us are pretty good with change if we decided to change something about ourselves. But if other people are giving us a change to have to adjust to, it's difficult for us. A good leadership and good teamwork is not luck. It can be taught and practiced. Every one of you can become a good leader regardless of your personality. This is one of the things I find working with students on grAdvantage. They wonder, gee, I've never really thought of myself as a leader. How could I become one? And you absolutely can. It doesn't really matter what your personality is. Now, these are really the themes that underpin the course that I'm about to get into. And then after I've discussed the coursework, then I'm going to hand it over and I'll ask questions of Brian and Fiona about their experiences. So let me talk about the first class on leadership and teamwork. As the title represents, the class will provide you with information and skill building to become a high-performing team member and team leader, create teams and lead them to high performance, recognize behavioral styles and preferences of others and yourself, learn what effective leadership looks like, the difference between management and leadership, and there is a difference, and how to create an empowered, aligned, and committed group pursuing an inspiring direction. As you might imagine, there are many aspects of team building and leadership that we will explore in greater detail. They are things such as how to influence others and use power appropriately, how to manage change, both within yourself and with others, how to manage conflict and deal with people who you have difficulties with, how to motivate and inspire others and maximize their engagement, and how to develop your emotional IQ. Let's face it, you're all at UCSD, you have pretty high IQs, cognitive IQs. What this is going to focus though on is emotional IQ, and will help you be developing that over the coursework. Along the way, you'll get tips and tricks on how to effectively work, collaborate, and lead in organizations. I will say that both leadership and team skills are highly sought after by employers. In addition, project management is a necessary skill to develop. Demonstrating both leadership and project management will help you move to the front of the line when it comes to perceptions of suitability by employers. As many of you are part of academic research teams, as an extra added bonus, you'll be able to consult with your classmates and myself to help you be more effective with your research and advisor teams. Now, this coursework is designed to be experiential in nature, which may be somewhat different from coursework you've experienced before in your academic career. Simply put, the learning model we use focuses on having experiences, reflecting on them, and then building new ways of using your skills, which then leads to having more experiences. This cycle will repeat itself throughout the course. Shannon was mentioning about being on many teams. That's an example of that. Consequently, this course is not focused on solely completing knowledge acquisition. Your success in the program will be measured by your participation in the class, your acquisition of self-awareness, and how you put that into practice. There's a hefty dose of self-reflection, as you might imagine, throughout the course, and that's aided by administration of a variety of self-assessments that focus on personality and other behavioral traits, essential to developing your toolkit as a team member and a leader. In addition, you'll keep track of your learnings through a structured journaling process. So when you're done with that particular course, the next one, as Shannon mentioned earlier, is the application phase of leadership and teamwork called the practicum course. The purpose of this course is to allow you to apply your learnings from the leadership and teamwork class. This is where we focus on real-world applications of your newfound skills and knowledge. As Shannon mentioned, you'll be assigned to a project team that will tackle a problem or issue facing UCSD. These problems are not contrived. You will actually be helping the university improve the student experience. Your team will be assigned a sponsor who will orient you to the issue that they are facing, and then over 6 sessions, you will develop a solution. Throughout, you will have your sponsor, as well as myself, to act as advisors to your team. As a culmination, you will be expected to make a formal presentation to the sponsors and other university staff, highlighting your results. So as an extra added benefit of this program, you'll really start to develop skills and become proficient in presenting. And that's another thing that employers, as well as academia, really, really expect out of people now, is to have really concise and impactful presentations. So this is really impactful work, I have to say. And Shannon mentioned many of the examples of projects that teams have worked on. And they really have been a wide variety, some of them more business-oriented, and some of them more around improving student experiences and really changing the way we operate at UCSD. After the practicum class, the final class is project management. This is taught by an expert in the field, Dragas Krasium, and what you'll learn is how to understand what projects and programs contribute to organizational success and how they do that. To really master the main tasks related to initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing out projects. Identifying the roles and responsibilities of the project manager and the project team. Identify project stakeholders and determine how to manage their expectations. Define project scope. Develop a project plan. And while you're doing that, to look at risk assessment. Risk assessment is a key business skill. And it's something that we'll really be tackling in the project management class particularly. And then to learn how to build a business case. This is really impactful today in business, particularly because executives want to know if you have an idea or you think we should go in a new direction, why should we be doing that? And developing a business case is a key way to have that happen. And that's done in different ways in different organizations, but it all has very similar components. I give you one example of a company you may have heard of that has an interesting way of dealing with a business case. It's called Amazon. I think you might have heard of them. And what they require of their people is to put their business idea or case in a memo lasting no more than a page and a half, because they believe that if you cannot explain what you want to do in a page and a half, you're not clear enough. So there's just a simple example of the discipline necessary in building good business cases. And then define the key elements needed to measure and report on project scope. Just like you have with the practicum class, you'll have a sponsor, they're a key stakeholder. In projects, you have stakeholders as well, and you have to be able to communicate with them, relate to them, and give them what they need in terms of information. And then you'll look at things such as scheduling, cost and performance indicators, and so forth. So this really does teach you the essential skills that are necessary for success in the world, particularly outside of academia, but I have to say within academia as well, especially those organizations that are changing fairly rapidly. You will find these skills useful in your educational journey today, as well as in the future. So that's an overview of the last class, which is project management. Really, I have to say that from our experience, these skills and knowledge that you've picked up have had resonance in the business community. Many students have moved on to plum jobs in the business world from consulting to technology. So this program, it gives you a huge leg up over other candidates for jobs because we teach the essential skills that employers are looking for. So that's a background of the program, the three courses that Shannon had introduced early on. What I'd like to do now, though, rather than hearing from me anymore, is for you to listen to a couple of students that we had participate and graduate from the program this last year, Fiona and Brian, and they may want to introduce themselves for a second too when I ask them their first question. But I have a couple of questions I'm going to throw their way, and I'd love to have their response. So can we kick it off with you, Brian, if that's okay? And my first question to you is, overall, how did you like the experience of participating in the program? And if you were to come up with one or two highlights of it, what would they be?
Yes, thank you, Rich. Hi, everyone. So my name is Brian. I'm a master's student in biology department, graduate researcher at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies, and I'm a recent graduate of this program. And I'd like to share some experiences that I've had in this program. So some highlights of this program, like Rich said, we have conducted multiple self-assessments in order to evaluate what type of personality we have in the workplace, also how we influence others, how we communicate, and how we manage working in a team. So what I learned in this program is that an ideal team is one that contains effective leadership, competent team members, a clear mission, vision, and goal. And without establishing a foundation of what you are trying to work for, pretty much you will be just working for nothing. So it's best to have some sort of working point and a defined work structure in order to have interpersonal compatibility. And some highlights was that I was able to become more self-aware and how to communicate with my team members by establishing these goals. Collaboration is key when working in teams, especially when managing team dysfunction, for example. So when assessing ourselves and conducting these self-assessments, it made me realize what strengths I had and what weaknesses I had. So because of this course, I was able to establish these skills and also establish a comfortable relationship with my team members and also share the potential my potential to become a leader, and also to share their potential to become leaders themselves. And there are a variety of skills that we've learned throughout this program, And I use this in my everyday lives, no matter what field you're in, whether it be in bio or engineering, in literature, in finance, business. We will all be working in teams in the future. So these are valuable soft skills that are really required and which allows you to become a well-performing team member in the future.
Great. Brian, thank you so much. Fiona, what are your thoughts about your experience in the program and some highlights for you?
For me, it was really nice to meet a lot of like-minded people who are also interested in kind of developing their teamwork and leadership skills, and who are kind of doing stuff outside of just their research, which I really enjoy. People like Brian, for example. I also really like that this program kind of gives you a framework to establish your skills, because as a grad student, we all complete projects and we all work in teams, but we're not really aware of how we can improve or how we are acting within our team. So it was kind of good to get a lot of insight into ourselves, I guess, about ourselves, to realize who we are in the team and how we can improve. But it was also good just to think about things in business terms. I don't really know how to phrase this, but we know we work on projects and we work on in teams. And sometimes the move, I mean, if you're interested in this, the move out, like away from academia, is difficult to imagine that these projects will somehow translate. But through this course, you kind of learn the languages and the processes on how to do these in a way that translate to life outside of academia, which I thought is really useful.
Great. Fiona, thank you so much. Shannon had mentioned this earlier, and I brought it up as well. You work on several different teams throughout the whole program. Tell us about what your experience was like actually working in these teams. Fiona, could we start with you? What was that experience like, being on different teams?
It was really fun to get to know people that are interested in this work. So I have never been on a team where everyone has been so active and has participated so much. That was just a great experience in and of itself. It was also interesting to kind of tackle projects outside of my own research or my own field, I guess. So I really gained a lot from doing those.
Great, thanks. Brian, what was all the different team experiences like for you?
Yeah, so for the team experience that I had with in the program, so Fiona and I, we were in separate groups, so I'm able to share what I've learned in my group. So what was nice was that working with people with differing personalities from differing fields and differing mindsets challenged us, because there was a lot of clashing between group members. However, the skills that we've learned throughout this course helped us evaluate where we stand in order to assess where we can support each other. So instead of clashing with one another, we would try to utilize our strengths for other people's weaknesses. And because of that, we found a synergy there. So with this team building, I saw that applying these skills to the project that we've done for UCSD, which was for the Vice Chancellor Student Affairs, we learned that it was important to assess our personality traits and also to realize what motivates us. Because, and what was interesting, we all had differing motivations. For example, if you tell one of us as graduate researchers, hey, I'll give you $50 if you can, do this project for me. I mean, in terms of motivation, that wouldn't fully motivate us to perform the best that we can, because we have different ideals. So I would take the $50, but I wouldn't perform the best that I can. So it just all depends on the person. So you have to assess and identify where we all stand. So this experience in this practicum portion of this program allowed me to identify the goals, identify problems, and how to manage team dysfunction, because as graduate students, we will be working in teams, and we do work on projects with other people in the future in our respective labs or groups. So this was a really nice experience to have so that I can apply it to my personal life.
That's great. Fiona, any comments from you about the practicum experience particularly? What was it like working in your team and working with your sponsor?
We worked on Campus Bike and Skate, which is the bike and skate store on campus.
It was a fascinating one.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and now it's very, so basically what we were looking at was that the store was not making that much money, so we were trying to figure out where they were losing money and how they could improve. And so we all had different roles, and we worked well together. The thing is that we obviously did not anticipate this pandemic, so I feel like our response
Really?
might not be as useful after all, but it was a really great experience. I also learned a lot of skills from my teammates. We had a really cool PowerPoint. I don't know if you remember. So that was one of the most visual skills that I learned. But it was very fun hanging out with people that are interested in the same thing and working on this project. I really had a lot of fun.
Very good, very good. So the last classes we mentioned that you'll be taking is project management. So Brian, tell me a little bit about what are some of the things you learned on project management? What was easily applicable for you?
So what was easily applicable to me for the project management portion of this program was that I was able to develop the skills what's needed to be an effective leader, especially in a project group in the collaborative workplace. For example, establishing deadlines and having a goal in mind, and also how to manage team dysfunction. So it was important to establish trust and overcome the fear of conflict. And also we need to establish commitment, because with this we're able to overcome team dysfunction and also holding each other accountable to establish great results was definitely what I learned in the project management portion. And with my background, I did not really have any business experience at all. So with this portion of the program, I was able to develop these skills and see what it's like to be a project manager and be an influencer to my colleagues in order to see the ideal results that we're trying to have for that portion. And we expanded upon our practicum project, which is the student centeredness at UC San Diego, so establishing resources for the students on campus, because we've held focus groups to gain information about what the students' thoughts were on campus resources, and we saw that they were frustrated, and we wanted to address that problem and hopefully find a resolution with the university and establish a phone app for the student, which was what our project was, in order to effectively communicate to students and to the university what resources are available. So this was definitely an eye-opener for me, because I was able to establish a lot of soft skills that I would implement in the future.
Very good. Thanks, Brian. How about you, Fiona? What was your experience like on project management? What did you learn?
So we worked on a project where one of our team members, she is part of the consulting club on campus, and she wanted to create this competition, the consulting competition. And so we were kind of putting together a plan on how we were going to organize this competition, which did not happen because of the pandemic. But and this was one of those things where those are the kind of projects that we are already doing, but putting it in this project management frame gave us like the vocabulary and the method of doing things that makes this a more translatable skill to life outside academia. So we really went through all the project management steps, which also helped a lot, because I feel like usually when we organize things, we're like, all right, what do we need? What should we do? But now we kind of learned that there's a way to do these things that will really help you figure out how to do this the best you can. And it gave us the vocabulary about like how to do risk assessment and all those words that you hear, those business words. We kind of learned how to use them and understand them so that we can apply them and use them for our life after our studies.
Good. Good. Excellent, Fiona. Thank you so much. So I have one final question. I'll start with you, Fiona. And that is, what is one reason you would recommend the program to those who are listening in on the webinar today?
It's just really fun to meet people who are interested in similar things. I guess I have two things. That's the one. And then the other one is just, I think this is kind of what I've been saying a lot, but it's a really good way to kind of frame your skills in a way that is understandable outside of academia.
Very good. Thank you. Brian, how about you? What's the reason you'd recommend this program?
The reason why I would recommend this program is because no matter what field or that you are in, whatever specialty you're in, you can definitely implement this in your future lives and careers. For me, for myself, I actually utilize the skills that I've learned for various interviews and also job applications. So for example, so I haven't told Rich, but I recently got accepted to the University of Queensland for medical school. So utilizing these skills and implementing them in my interview, the interviewers were really interested in seeing that, oh, I really do have the soft skills that they do look for in physicians. And unfortunately, many physicians nowadays do lack in the EQ, the sympathy, and the also to how to influence and how to work in teams. So most importantly, emotional intelligence, for example, read a book from Daniel Goleman for working with emotional intelligence. So what I learned was that it doesn't matter how academically smart you are, because there does need to be a balance with your IQ and EQ, or emotional intelligence, in order to know how to work with people and lead effectively. So you can definitely utilize these skills no matter where you're at and no matter what field you're in.
Great. Thank you very much, Brian. So thank you both for your contributions to the grAdvantage experience. It really was wonderful to have you in the program. But I will add that Brian and Fiona and the rest of the cohort had an excellent experience participating in the program because they devoted energy and interest and dove right into the discussions and experiences. This is a key difference that this program has over those that you may have experienced before in your academic life. Passive learning won't work if you were to take the most from this program. It's important to engage and contribute to get the best experience. You will actually enjoy doing that, even if the experience is new to you. So we would welcome you to be part of the grAdvantage experience. So at this point, I think I'm handing it back to Tamara Wright for questions.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, we actually have had a question come in around, I guess it's a bit about logistics, but I'd also love to hear the students' perspective on looking forward to how we're going to deliver the courses in the future, most likely online. How might that change the outcomes of the class? Maybe, maybe not. Like how, if you imagine like going through this program in an online environment, like maybe what are some ways that you would approach learning differently, or some tips you have for folks that are maybe going to be entering this program in a different modality?
That's a great question. I guess I'll take that because that is obviously central to what I'm doing right now. As you can imagine, pre-COVID, the work that I was, about 80% of the work I was doing was face-to-face with other clients and so forth, and that included teaching seminars like this. And I was doing some online work, but it wasn't that much. And now we're switching it over to online. It's caused me to really rethink how I'm going to present the information to keep it engaging and so forth. And so fortunately, I have a lot of good colleagues in my industry because I am in the education business, and we're sharing all of our tips and tricks to get this to work right. So here's what I would recommend around that is there are many things that are going to be really quite similar. Obviously, the content is the content. Secondly, you'll be working in teams just like you would if we were meeting face-to-face. Obviously, that's online. But my experience has been working in online programs before is those team experiences can be really quite powerful. And the third thing is we'll probably have more structure associated with how we'll dialogue in the course. One thing that I'm going to be adding is probably a lot more what we call in our business pre-work, which is work that you'll do before you actually attend the Tuesday night session. I think I'm going to load up more on that. That'll make us more efficient and also ensure people are coming in with similar knowledge bases. So that will be one difference. So be prepared for that. Won't be a lot of reading or work, but there'll be some. And then the second thing is we'll have a structured system for people to be able to comment and ask questions during the time that we're together on the Tuesday nights. So I'm building in that system. So that'll be more structured than if we are face-to-face. Well, of course, when you're face-to-face, you can be much more free-form and flowing, and people can interrupt each other and so forth. We'll just have to be a little more organized around that. So that's one of the other distinctions I would say. And then the other one I want to mention, having been involved both teaching and participating in synchronous online courses, which is what this is that it can be tiring for long periods of time. So, and of course, Fiona and Brian can comment on this, but being in a 3-hour session face-to-face, the time can sometimes fly by. And there's a lot of movement, and we get up and we move around. What I've discovered from online is that it has to be done in bursts of time because keeping attention is much more difficult. So we have it down for 3 hours on the Tuesday night, but my intention at this point is to give us breaks through that 3 hours. So you're not going to have to sit on your butts for 3 hours straight. Even I couldn't do that. So that's all part of what I'll be doing as part of the redesign on this. Did anybody else today want to comment on that at all?
Yes, 3 hours definitely fly by because you were so engaged into the content and being among peers who are really engaged in learning, and definitely with Rich and Dragus, their teaching style definitely it's really captivating. So 3 hours will fly by just like that, and you're going to be wanting more.
Great.
I think it's important to note too, this is Shannon, that the project management course for the past 2 years has actually been delivered online. We went back to a face-to-face this past year, but then had to quickly transition it back due to COVID. So Dragus is very familiar with teaching in the online environment. So that actually won't have much of a change as we know how to facilitate that course.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shauna Slepiota. I work in the graduate division. So there's another question here that I was hoping Fiona or maybe Brian, if you wanted to chime in this one as well. But the question, this is a student who's about to enter their second year of a PhD program. They say their course load is not very heavy. They're wondering if there's any recommendation about taking this course after advancement to candidacy, or I guess it's just a question in general about when would be a good time in one's degree to participate in the course.
That's a good question, and I'm not sure if there is a specific time that is better than another time. I feel like in our program we had people in all stages of their studies. I qualified while I was doing the program just last quarter. So it's definitely manageable because you take it because you're very interested in it, so it doesn't really feel like that much extra work. I guess that's all I would say. I don't know if Brian has more insight into the timing.
Yeah, so just to add some input, so I've joined this program when I was in my final year, and I will be defending next week, and I've also had colleagues who have differing schedules. And, you know, we are all busy people. I mean, it's pretty doable. The workload isn't too much. You know, working, you know, Fiona and myself, we're teaching assistants as well, so, you know, we're handling classes and taking our own personal graduate classes as well. And, you know, some of us do work multiple jobs as well, so it's definitely doable, and it's, you know, it's in the evening time, and like I said, it's 3 hours really does fly by, and it'll help you manage your time management, and also it's, you know, it's discipline as well in order to manage your time wisely. So there isn't really a right time. It doesn't really affect your schedule per se, since you do meet only once a week. yeah, like I said, the workload isn't really hefty at all. And it's up to the discretion of your group, because you do have to maintain that communication with your group, of course.
Thank you, Brian and Fiona. So for people who are attending this webinar, I'm assuming they are students right now. They're thinking about maybe signing up for the program next year. So I guess I'm just wondering, for you both, what was it that that attracted you to this program? What made you decide, oh, I really want to do this. I see value in it. And also, do you have advice for students as they are about to begin this program, or they're about to start it, in terms of just getting the most out of it, or just any advice for them as they're embarking on the program?
I can start. Okay. So I got involved, or I did this program because I'm really interested in diversifying my skill set, and I feel like this was a really good opportunity to do that. And I think if you just show up there and are enthusiastic and kind of put in the work, you will get a lot out of it. As Rich said, it's very involved and there's a lot of active learning, so you really can't go and just sit back and take it in. You really have to be active and participate. But it really helps you a lot, because by just doing that, you are learning all these skills. So that's kind of the mindset you have to go into, is that this is really something you have to get involved, but you will get so much out of it.
Yeah, and to add on to what Fiona stated, the reason why I wanted to join this program is because as I advanced forward into my career, I wanted to be more than just a follower. I wanted to be an effective leader. So this really caught my attention, because I've always yearned to help influence and motivate others and be an effective leader, but I just didn't know how or where to start. So this is a really great program to help you establish those foundations. And this past year, I've definitely changed my personality and my mindset and how I work in groups. And I feel really disciplined and honored to have an opportunity to be in this program, and I wouldn't take it for granted. I would definitely try out this program again if I could. It was that much fun working with everyone.
All right, I don't think there's any other questions that have come in. We have just a few minutes left, so if there are any other lingering questions out there amongst those that are attending, feel free to use the Q&A feature to submit those. I do have one quick question for both of the students, and you mentioned that you keep a journal maybe, or you have quite a bit of self-reflection involved in the program. So I was wondering if you could just touch on that, and were either of you kind of familiar with that type of a reflective practice? Was that new to you? Thoughts on, was it something you enjoyed? And looking back on it, now that you've had some time to think about it, do you think that type of exercise is worthwhile, and how has it helped maybe solidify program concepts for you?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. Yeah, so we keep a journal, and I really find it useful. It's a time for me to reflect on what I've learned, and also whenever I need the support, I would kind of look back at my journal just to see what I've learned, and also solidify the concepts I've learned. And looking back at my journal, I saw the amount of improvement I've had when I first started the program and up to graduation of the program, and definitely the difference was mind-boggling, and I did not realize that I was really lacking in these soft skills. So keeping this journal helped me document what it was like to be in the program, so that I'm able to share what I've learned with other people.
For me, before I started the program, I was like, okay, I want to be a better leader, so I'm going to have to change all these things about myself so I can be the best possible person ever, because I have no skills in leadership. But then we did all these assessments, and as Rich said, it's not about changing who you are, but it's kind of like figuring out where you fit in on the leadership spectrum, I guess. So it kind of makes you realize that you do have skills and how to build upon those skills that you already have, like your personality, basically, rather than having to change everything, because obviously that's not really how things work. It's better if you can take your skills and like develop them. So I think that was really useful to kind of realize that I do have leadership skills. I just need to figure out how to use them rather than becoming this whole new person.
Great. Well put, Fiona.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing. Any final thoughts from the group as we wind down this session?
I'd just like to say we'd love to have you all have a great experience.
Any other final thoughts from the panelists today or from the staff at Extension?
I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming and listening. If there, please do use that Q&A box if there are any final questions. But just a reminder that the deadline to apply is September 11th, 2020. We encourage early enrollment, please. But we are all here to answer questions now or after the fact. We can provide our contact information. Darlene Hammond is my right hand on this program. She's on here as well. Maybe she'll say hi real quick. But we work as a team, and we're here for you to, again, answer any additional questions you have, tackle anything you might be wondering, scheduling, how it works, all that. We hope to see you in the fall.
Somebody asked about reposting the pricing breakdown.
Sure.
I think it's on the website too, right, Shannon?
It is, and just quickly, it's on the slides too, but it's $395 total. It's $100 per class, and then a $95 certificate fee. You pay per course, so essentially you have a $100 fee and the $95 fee in the fall, and $200 in fees in the winter quarter.
Great. And we have another question as well, and Rich, maybe you can speak to this. Would there be any guest speaker in industry or at leadership position to talk about their experience?
Well, that's a really great question. Over the years, we've had guest speakers come in, and that's certainly something that we'll be considering for the leadership and teamwork course in the first quarter. So yes, that we'll look at that certainly and see what we can do in terms of availability. But our intention is to help you learn as much as you can about business within this setting in the context of the course.
I think we've also talked as a team that in August there will potentially be an additional webinar that we'll be hosting that would include those who have potentially graduated from the program and are now working in industry, and also supporters from the industry of this program to talk about what skills they're looking for, how this program is helpful, and and why you should consider taking it from their perspective.
All right. Well, I think we've gotten through all the questions that have been put into the Q&A. I did pop the link into the chat feature that directs you to the website where you can apply for the program and learn more about the schedule and pricing breakdowns and things that we've reviewed. And then we'll also be posting this slide deck as well as the recording of this session on the grAdvantage website in the next week or so. So thanks everyone for coming and attending today's session. Feel free to encourage friends and colleagues who may not have been able to make it to consider the program as well. And we'll look forward to looking at your applications later this summer. So thanks so much to our panelists and for Extension for being such a wonderful partner. And we will look forward to hopefully hosting a similar session in August to hear from some of the alums. I love that idea.